Facebook rains internet from the sky, Windows 10 FUD, and Xbox on a PC. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 392 for Thursday, July 30th, 2015. This episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Braintree. If you're working on a mobile app and searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With one simple integration, you can offer your customers every way to pay. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to braintreepayments.com/technight. Welcome, I am Megan Maroney. Windows 10 became available for free yesterday for everyone with a valid copy of Windows 7 or Windows 8.1. After the headlines, we'll talk to gaming expert Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica about his first impressions of the Xbox app on the newest OS from Microsoft. But first, let's get to today's tech headlines. The car hacking saga continues. Last week, Chrysler recalled 1.4 million vehicles that were vulnerable to hacking through their Uconnect system. Today, the Detroit News reports that GM has issued a fix to a vulnerability that could allow hackers to breach the OnStar system to unlock cars and start engines. Security researcher Sami Kamkar says the fix is not complete and the OnStar's remote link system is still vulnerable. Wired says that Facebook is about to launch its ginormous solar-powered drone designed to beam down internet access to the 4 million people without it. The drone looks like a stealth bomber, has the wingspan of a 737, but weighs much less than a commercial aircraft due to its carbon fiber frame. Curious how it works? The drone will fly over the areas where people desperately need Facebook, at which point lasers on the ground will be able to locate the dome-shaped optical head on the bottom of the plane at a distance of 10 miles. Then voila, the drone shoots internet access at its target. The Aquila project is part of the Facebook Connectivity Lab and is just one of the many efforts by Facebook, Google, and other companies to start making internet access rain down from the skies. I hope you have an umbrella. Here's an update on a report I did yesterday on Windows 10. I told you that Krebs on Security warned against Windows 10 penchant for sharing your Wi-Fi network with your Outlook, Skype, and Facebook contacts. Today, ZDNet, Ars Technica, and others are saying that while this might not be ideal, it's nothing to be scared about. ZDNet chalked the fear up to a sudden explosion of FUD, that's fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and said that there's an extra step you have to opt into in order to share your Wi-Fi password with the world. There's a feature that lets you do this only for networks that you manually select. And if you do decide to do this, you're only sharing internet access, not access to your personal files. BuzzFeed News tells us that the new Apple TV is due out in September, but without the rumored TV subscription service. BuzzFeed sources say the new Apple TV will be more polished. It will feature an A8 processor, an app store, and a new remote that responds to Siri commands. These are just rumors at this point, but word on the street is that we'll all see the new Apple TV refresh at the same fall event where we expect to see the new iPhones. Now, how much would you pay for the Galaxy S6, hot on the heels of the release of the OnePlus 2 and the new Moto X phones for the budget-conscious? Samsung revealed today that they're cutting the price of the flagship Samsung Galaxy S6. In an earnings call yesterday, the company said they'd be flexibly adjusting the price of the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. They did not mention a new price. Coming up, Ars Technica's gaming expert takes Xbox on Windows 10 for a test drive. But first, this episode is brought to you by Braintree, code for easy online payments. If you're a mobile app developer, check out Braintree. Braintree is the payment solution used by companies like Uber, Airbnb, GitHub, StubHub, and more. Now you can add a similar experience to your own app with excellent customer service and simple integration. Braintree gets you ready to receive payments quickly, and Braintree's continuous support plus fast payouts means you'll be prepared to accept any kind of online payment so you can worry about the important stuff, like which yacht you're going to buy with all your money. Braintree is helping solve the problem of mobile cart abandonment by offering a best-in-class mobile checkout experience. Check it out for yourself. Braintree gives you a full-stack payment solution, support for all payment types your customers might want, so start accepting PayPal, Apple Pay, Bitcoin, Venmo, cards, and more, all with a single integration across all platforms with superior fraud protection, customer service, and fast payouts. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, Go to braintreepayments.com/technight. All this week, we're celebrating the launch of Windows 10, the newest operating system from Microsoft that lets you, among other things, start your computer with your face. Today, we're talking about another new feature of the OS, the ability to stream Xbox games right on your PC. Here to talk to us about Xbox on Windows 10 is Sam Miskovich, gaming expert from Ars Technica. Welcome back, Sam.
See you guys. How are you doing?
Good. So gaming on the Windows PC has not had a lot of great success stories in the past few years. You write that in the wake of Windows 8, it got so bad that former Microsoft employee Gabe Newell, head of Valve, was forced to create an entirely new gaming platform on Linux. So this is also not the first time that Microsoft has even attempted to let us play Xbox games on our PC. Tell us about Xbox games. Tell us about the Xbox Games on Windows initiative of 2012. How did that go?
It didn't go very well because there was a lot of confusion when Microsoft was trying to throw Xbox things onto computers. There were some games that launched on both Xbox and computer that were supposed to play nicely with each other. This was in the Xbox 360 era. Shadowrun, I believe, was the only one that actually launched with any fanfare, and it didn't really have much support. It wasn't really good to play on the computer or on the console against people on the computer. There was a clear advantage. That was one issue. The other issue was the store that launched within Windows 8 for Xbox games wasn't really a game shop that you would expect from a computer service. It was a lot of smaller games and microtransaction games. Everything that people kind of wanted didn't happen. And so it seems like Windows 10 has been an attempt by Microsoft to sort of come back to the beginning of what people do and don't want from an Xbox experience on their computers, so that they can have computer games and Xbox games be completely separate beasts.
And so you've tried it, and what do you think so far?
Well, I installed the RTM, which is the version they shipped to everybody else, I guess a week and a half ago, and basically was sicked solely on the Xbox experience within Windows 10. Because that can be confusing. That nobody knows exactly what that is if you just hear that just out loud. Like, does that mean I'm going to be able to play Xbox games on my computer? And the answer is kind of. It breaks down Xbox specifically on Windows 10, breaks down it by way of an app that comes with every single Windows 10 computer, whether that's your tiny tablet or your full-on gaming beast of a computer. You will be able to get into this Xbox app, which is now on the screen. And that has a variety of features that you would find just on Xbox Live. You have a friends list, you have messages, you have achievements, you have these sort of basic things that you would interact with anyway on perhaps a smartphone app like Smart Glass. But what Windows 10's version of Xbox includes is two particular features that haven't been done before on Windows computers. The first is the ability to stream the Xbox One game that's playing on your home console to any computer on your home network. So if you have a laptop, you want to take it upstairs while the TV is being hogged and have your Xbox One console streaming to your computer, you can do that now. And the other feature is DVR, which is the ability, game DVR, excuse me. And the idea with that is that you can tap a keyboard shortcut at any time when you are on your gaming computer and have it start recording everything you're playing. It can record the sound, it can record the activity, and then it'll just be saved on your computer. And so I dug in to see what both of those were like. And I guess I could start with the Xbox streaming part.
Sure.
Because that was what I liked the most. I called that out saying that was really everything that I'd hoped for in that it was pretty simple. So since I have an Xbox One, by the way, this doesn't work with Xbox 360 at all. You have to have an Xbox One system at your house. It's got to be on the same Wi-Fi network or wired network as the computer you want to use. But then the Windows 10 computer, whatever it is, tablet, laptop, desktop, you go on the app and it looks for an Xbox on your home network. And that's like that. Multiple computers we tried it with worked super simply. And then it says, okay, we're connected. Do you want to stream? And you tap a button. And depending on your connection, it'll range from a little grainy to quite clear that you can then plug in a controller to your computer. That's going to be the first hiccup, I think, for some PC gamers who thought, okay, I can play on my laptop. I can play these Xbox games streaming. but you have to use an Xbox controller, either the old 360 or the newer Xbox One controller. It has to be plugged into your computer, or if you're close enough to the Xbox, you can just have it wirelessly talking to that Xbox, and then boom, you've got your controller. You're playing an Xbox game kind of through your computer.
So you log in with your Microsoft account, the same one you log into your computer. You don't need anything else than that.
Correct. You can, if you whatever your Microsoft account is on your Xbox, you'll want to log in on Windows 10 as well. In fact, if for any reason you have multiple accounts, for example, you have a work account that you use for your computer, you can get in the Xbox app with your gamer account, and it'll still work. You can have separate Microsoft identities for the sake of making sure that you can play games. So if you have a really stupid username that you don't want your boss to know about, that can be a way to sneak that in on your work computer. But yeah, so the streaming stuff, it worked really smoothly. The idea being that there's a little bit of latency as it's sending the signal from your Xbox to whatever laptop's in the house. But we managed with the 5 gigahertz router connection to have, I had to review a game, and I thought this would be a really great opportunity the week before the launch to just test a game as if this was the only way I was going to be able to play it. It was called Tembo the Badass Elephant, which Sega put out. Yep, you can say that 5 times fast. It's kind of Sonic the Hedgehog-like. There's a lot of running around, a lot of twitchy jumps, this very old school early 90s sensibility. And so when it comes to streaming something from one device to another, and you want to have the best jumps, the smoothest control, you've got to get these hard sections of the level down just pat. Being able to stream wirelessly from the Xbox in one room to a laptop in the other and get all of this stuff done, I was absolutely impressed that when I sucked at the game, it was because I was bad, not because the connection had glitched out. The only issue was that when we dropped our connection down to the standard router speed, at 2.4 gigahertz, we got a little bit grainier, crappier video, and we wouldn't recommend that as much for a twitchy game, but it still worked. I was still able to play. I didn't mess up. So in that case, that was fine.
So you said you did run into like a few just little troubles, like they created a gamer tag for you with randomly generated characters?
Oh, sorry. If you create an entirely new account in the Xbox app, it's going to automatically generate a gamer tag. It doesn't even give you the option of saying, I want to be Cool Dude 44. It'll say, no, you have to be this random combination of words and numbers. I'm trying to remember what mine was. It was pretty stupid and had a giant number on the end. And it doesn't give clear instructions as to how you might change that. So if you end up at some point using this Xbox app to play a bunch of games, oh yeah, I was ReformedLotus26. That's what it said I want to be. And I'm like, that makes no sense. And it had no really simple path to, oh, we made this for you for now. Here's exactly how you can change it. And I think for anyone who starts their Xbox life with that, and then they start eventually playing online games and go, wait, that's my identity. Everybody else gets to be their name. Why am I stuck with this stupid thing? So I thought that was kind of a hiccup. Things within the app that weren't streaming related were pretty bad. The store in particular is still garbage. So if you start Windows 10 and you think, oh, cool, this is going to be a place to get computer games, that's not the case. You think, oh, it's going to be a place to get Xbox games. That's not either. It ends up being a collection of Windows Phone games, your sort of endless runners, your free-to-play racing games, the kind of stuff you see on Android and iOS. And that is what Microsoft right now is saying, here's what PC gaming has to offer you in the Xbox app. And it was
Jetpack Joyride, for example.
Right. I mean, I love Jetpack Joyride, don't get me wrong, but I have the little, the rainbow trail coming out of my guy's rocket. But that is not really a good kickoff if Microsoft is saying, here's games. In fact, the one game, when you go into the app, just into the installed games tab, because it'll let you manage games that are on your computer, before it populates that, it only has one listed, which is the Solitaire Collection, which came out with Windows 8, so a lot of people missed it. This is a microtransaction version of Solitaire. It's free to start out, and it throws a video ad at you whenever you finish a game of Solitaire, and nags you to either pay about $2 for 1 month or $10 for a year of no advertising in your Solitaire. And considering not only has Microsoft put Solitaire in every Windows build, I believe since 3.1, they still, you can go and download Solitaire for free from Microsoft server if you want. So for them to thrust this paid ad-supported one at people, really bizarre move on their part. So that was a fumble that I thought was unfortunate. But being able to, like I've been describing the streaming stuff, that to me, that's something I like. And I don't know that every user is in a situation like me where you're in a place where you want to go hide and play your console games in another room. But I know Steam is interested in that because there's going to be a device, the Steam Link, coming out later this year that's going to do the same thing. You can have that plugged into, it's sort of the vice versa. You plug that into your living room TV and it'll stream content from your office computer. So that's sort of the person who says, I want to take these computer games I love and play them on the big screen. This is the opposite of that, of taking the big TV screen games you love and play them in just scattered places in the house. Well,
I will tell you a secret as a mother of 3 children, that those people want to go into the rooms and play separate from the family. That's who probably wants to do this.
Absolutely. And I think they make it easy enough. This part is so easy on any device that you really don't need to know what you're doing as long as you have, these hundreds of dollars of Microsoft hardware, an Xbox One not being the cheapest thing ever. But if you've got it, you can make that work.
Yeah, it's a little sad to me because I know like the console games like the Xbox that was sort of sold to families as here, we're going to be all together. We're going to be in the living room. We're going to be active with Kinect. And then now it's like, nah, that didn't really work. Let's just all go to our separate rooms, play our games, and then, mom and dad can watch TV.
When's the last time you sat down with a family and jumped around in Kinect, Megan? Come on.
A long time.
Yeah. I mean, they had to make good games for that. That's the problem. But, this is actually, there could be a way where the thing I really do like is that, let's say you had an old Xbox, you got the newer Xbox, you have a whole bunch of controllers from the old one that no longer work on the new one. This is a way to take your old 360 controllers and make them work on the Xbox One. And nobody's really mentioned that. But as someone who just gets random controllers piled up in a corner of my house, it's nice to have a use for them again. I can now drag a computer close to the TV and sort of jerry-rig my way to having 8 controllers. And there are games that support 8 controllers on Xbox One. And so it is kind of cool to have. One of them is called IDARB, which is a very strange digital basketball sort of game. It's fun. So if you want to have more people together on the same screen, this is sort of a strange, hacked way of doing that. But I think that's kind of cool.
So there is a future for the family, is what you're saying.
Well, until we're... Wow, you're about to get into a sci-fi dystopian sort of answer from me. I'm going to back off on that one. Yes, still hope for the family.
Okay. So speaking of a lot of people playing together, one of your latest gaming sessions has that potential. Rocket League, tell us about that.
Oh, goodness. I could talk about that for a while. I have been playing this game Rocket League for quite some time because it came out years ago on the PlayStation. It had a really long title whose name I forget, Super Rocket Propelled. It was a terrible name, which is probably half of why no one found it. But these guys simply said, we want to make a game that's soccer with cars. You're in a car, you ram into a giant soccer ball, and you try to score on the other guy. It sounds so simple, not so simple. It sounds so stupid, but the execution on this, I saw it at an event more recently where they fine-tuned it, they shortened the name, which is great, and it really felt amazing to me to be able to have an action-driving party game. I grew up with a lot of Mario Kart battle mode. So you would be driving around in a car while shooting stuff at other people. And I always struggled with that. I thought that was really hard in the game to aim in your car, which was moving really fast, and do all this stuff where you weren't just driving, you weren't just racing, you had to sort of position and do this weird stuff. And I thought, couldn't there be a game where you could drive around and feel like you really had control of a car while messing around with other people doing the same thing? And there were other car games like Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8. There was just a period in the late 90s, early 2000s where this was a thing, and they all kind of stunk. But this game sort of, I think, had that in mind and said, we can do this. We can make it really fun for 2 to 6 people all hanging out together, driving cars at each other. And if you watch this video, you see these crazy sort of flips that these cars are doing, where you can basically take your car, rotate it around in midair, hit a ball around. There's just a feeling about it I've never had with this sort of active 3D game where it's all pandemonium and nuts. to both, I felt like it was simple and like I was a real expert. Like it didn't take me long it took me maybe 5 minutes of having, with some 3D gaming experience to just start in on this and go, oh, I can play this. And then another 5 minutes later, I said, oh my God, there are some people who can really play this. YouTube is now blowing up with people coming up with these crazy passes to each other. They'll ram a car into the ball. It'll bounce off one wall. They'll take a little ramp up, boost in the air as the ball's coming from that side. I feel like I'm a kid messing around with action figures the way my hands are. Ball coming there, car goes there, wham, goal. It was given away for free to people who use PlayStation Plus on PlayStation 4. And so what happened was a ton of people flocked to it. It crashed the servers. And yet, for whatever reason, normally that happens and people go, ugh, I don't want to play this. This is a disaster. But people were so into playing the solo, not online mode that it just kept on building and building. And once they fixed the servers, it's just been nonstop. You go on Twitch, you go on any of these video sharing services for games. This is the game of the summer.
Well, it looks good. That doesn't really look like the soccer balls I'm used to, but it does look like a fun game.
It is a trip. I've been really annoying the people in my life who don't care about video games. I'm like, you can hit a ball with a car. And they're like, I mean, that's something I would do when I'm driving down the road and kids are playing soccer. And I'm like, no, not that kind of thing. You're not ruining children's days. It's anyway, but if anyone who sees that footage right there, and I believe you still have, today's the 30th. You have a couple days if you're a PlayStation 4 owner, jump on PlayStation Plus and you can get it for free as part of the annual $50 a year tag, or go on your computer. It's $20 just for the game. Absolutely worth it. I think if you have a nice gaming computer with a controller hooked up, like the one that you're streaming your Xbox games to, that would absolutely be a worthwhile choice. But however you get it, they just actually announced today that they're going to give a bunch of free stuff out in a few weeks to all the players who had to suffer through the server woes. So it's going strong. It is rolling like a soccer ball.
Well, Sam, thank you so much. Sam has additional articles up at Ars Technica about some gaming companies I've never heard of, and a few great diatribes about your experience with Comcast. So if anyone has had a horrible experience with Comcast and wants to feel like they're not alone, I definitely recommend these reads. Sam Miskovich is the culture reporter at Ars Technica, at Sam Red on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. I'll see y'all soon.
Take care. And finally, the Wall Street Journal would like to remind you that Google Glass is not dead, and it can hear all those nasty things you've been saying about it. According to people familiar with the matter, Google has been distributing a new version of its Glass wearable computer in stealth mode. This one is allegedly aimed at businesses in industries such as healthcare, manufacturing, and energy, and consumers are going to have to wait for the new version that they can use to secretly record people with their fashionable eyewear. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. We are on Facebook. Like us to get links to the show when it's posted and to the stories that we talk about. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you can post a comment on the stories that we post or post your photos. David Grant sent me this photo of him installing Windows 10 on all the things. He called this, quote, fun. Whereas Steve from Arizona, he also emailed me with several questions about the trouble he was having installing Windows 10. What has your experience been? Let us know on Facebook. You can also subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2. You can write to us at TN2@twit.tv, and you can watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I am Megan Maroney. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.